on, but staying with Karnataka, the government has decided that they will introduce Bhagavad Gita as a separate subject and include it in moral education, as confirmed by Primary and Secondary Education Minister B.C. Nagesh in the State Legislative Council. Not surprisingly, this has ignited a debate and opposition is coming in from the likes of the Congress party, claiming saffronization of education. In fact, senior Congress leader and former minister from Mysuru, Tanveer Said, went on to say that introducing the Gita in the syllabus is more dangerous than COVID pandemic. Even JDS has mocked the government on the proposal. Mind you, it is a proposal where it stands. It hasn't been introduced or approved yet. But it is also important to note here that the same issue arose in March earlier this year, when the government denied that they have any such plans. But they are also under pressure from their own members. And it seems under that pressure, they've done a rethink now and announced their intent to introduce Gita lessons. Over the last couple of years, many state governments are introducing or wanting to introduce the Gita lessons in schools. And yes, all of them are BJP-led governments. In March 2022, Gujarat included Gita in all schools. In April, the Himachal Pradesh government announced that Gita will be taught to class 9. In May this year, Uttarakhand government announced that it is also mulling Gita inclusion, pending a committee report. In May, Madhya Pradesh decided to teach Gita in colleges. Last year in December, the STMC, which is the municipal corporation, proposed teaching Gita in its schools. And last year in December, Haryana also announced that they will include Gita verses in school syllabus. Now, the Bhagavad Gita is a widely read document and is considered one of the greatest books ever written. Here is what many great philosophers and poets have said on the Bhagavad Gita, starting from Mahatma Gandhi, that Gita is a universal mother, she turns away nobody. Sri Aurobindo said Bhagavad Gita is a true scripture of the human race. Jawaharlal Nehru from the Congress party said Bhagavad Gita deals with spiritual foundation of human existence. Hermann Hesse is a German poet who said marvel of Bhagavad Gita is its truly beautiful revelation of life's wisdom. And Aldous Huxley is a British author who said the Gita is the most systematic statement of spiritual evolution. Then what is the problem with students being introduced to some concepts from the Gita? Is the opposition to Gita lessons in schools fair?
I have clearly replied that Bhagavad Gita as a subject will not be taught. We are thinking Bhagavad Gita in the moral sciences classes, which we are thinking of introducing this year.
They want to polarize the entire election process. Rather talking about Bhagavad Gita or the Quran or Bible, I think the government should come forward to talk about the syllabus in a scientific manner and implement the facilities for children by giving on right time the textbooks, school uniforms, shoes and socks.
Vijay Prasad of Karnataka, BJP continues with us. I'm joined by Syed Asad Abbas, who's a political analyst based in Karnataka. Hindol Sen Gupta is a historian. Dr. Shashi Kumar is General Secretary, Associated Managements of Primary and Secondary Schools in Karnataka. Asad, let me come to you first. You know, the concept of karma, for example, the concept of karma is a widely accepted, widely regarded, widely quoted concept. It comes from Hinduism. It comes, in fact, and is espoused in the Gita. When all of us can talk about karma, what is the problem if students also learn from the fountainhead of this wisdom, which is Gita?
It's something very beautiful what you've articulated, Shivani ji. Let me compliment you on that and come straight to the point. Let me tell you, there is a beautiful saying in the Bhagavad Gita itself. Hello, am I 1 second?
Asad, you're audible, but we can't see you. Continue in the meantime.
Yes, certainly I shall.
Go on.
The point that I'd like to derive, Shivani ji, is a very simple one. Let me tell you, Bhagavad Gita is one of the most beautiful books in the world. I am testimony to it. Many a times when I'm invited in the educational institutions, I quote from Bhagavad Gita and Lord Krishna. This is very point. I'm making a very progressive thought here, Shivani ji. I'm sure the viewers will appreciate it. What did Lord Krishna say? A man, what he thinks, so he becomes. A man is made by belief. This absolutely has nothing to do with religion. The fact we need to understand here. One quote I'd like to address to you, ma'am. When you take decision from your heart. Do not be confused by others' advice. The voice of your heart is my voice. This is something to be taken too. The fact that certain political parties are alleviating this by saying that this is bringing in Hinduism or Hindu so on and so forth is absolutely false. The fact I take a precedent is a simple one. I went to Christian convent, Shivani ji, and I was taught the prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Why didn't these political parties have a ring with that? No, they
Because
don't.
those are private
There is
institutions. No, there's a legal argument here, Syed. I understand the point that you're making, but there is a legal argument here. Private institutions, especially religious institutions, can teach their religion. We are talking about public schools now. Do you believe there is any problem if Gita lessons were to be introduced, or this is mere politicking by the opponents?
For those, Shivani ji, I'll make it very simple. Let me simplify for those who are adhering to this. Please read the Bhagavad Gita before you make any judgments, respected sirs, of political parties. We need to take a line of value education, moral education, which we had in our schools, and which were taken from Quran, Guru Granth Sahib, Bible, and the Holy Bhagavad Gita. Let us have a combination
But
of
can
all
the
sorts.
Gita be compared to a Quran or the Bible? That's also a fundamental question people are asking. The Gita,
Absolutely.
is it purely a religious binding book, or is it a book about life's teachings? Mr.
Absolutely. Shivani ji, you've
Mr. Prasad.
articulated this point
Yes, sir.
very well.
Shivani,
This is
I
not
would
to
like
do with
to
the religion,
Okay.
but this is to give life's wisdom.
I would-
10 seconds, sir. 10 seconds. This book is about life skills. This book is about wisdom. This book, how you can better in life. That is exactly what I was taught in my formal education in school.
Yeah, but I think
Life
it's an
skills,
unfair
practice
comparison
skills,
to
value
compare the
education, moral
Gita
lessons.
with the word of
Shivani,
God as in Bible and Quran,
I
because
think
those are
we
not
should,
debatable. Anyways,
thanks
yes,
for
Mr.
your,
Prasad.
sermons, thanks for your sermons, Abbas. I would say I hold Gita in my hand. Okay, I will have to congratulate our Education Minister B.C. Nagesh, sir, and I welcome that yes, the government has introduced Gita in the school as part of moral education. The Gita, it says what it teaches, okay, way of action, way of knowledge, act, realizes supreme spirit. Nowhere, see, I have quoted only few topics from the book Gita. Nowhere it teaches about the religious practice.
Yeah.
Hindus have Mukkoti Devaru, 3 crores of gods. It is up to you which god you want to pray, which god it is up to you, right? But as far as the Islam and Christianity is concerned, they start propagating particular, say, please believe in
Shivani ji, I
prophet or
disagree with
please
him.
believe in
Shivani ji,
Jesus.
I have a point to
We
make.
don't say that. But as far as the fact of the matter
No,
is,
but Mr.
Gita
Prasad,
states-
we also cannot deny these
Your
are the
life
words of
should
Lord
be-
Krishna, right?
Yeah.
The Gita
Yes,
comes
yes.
from the sermons of Lord Krishna. And frankly, I am not one of those who's going to appropriate Hinduism and deny Hinduism its credit. The Gita is very much coming from Hinduism. It cannot be made into some sort of a cultural or a moral
But
book alone,
no,
as was done with
Hindu does
yoga.
not,
I'm
the
sorry.
Gita does not teach us. the
It does
Gita
not teach
us
religious
belief in
worship. I
Hinduism.
give you that
Okay.
much. But there is
it
absolutely no
teaches
reason to
values
deny
and morals
Hinduism
in
the
life.
credit for producing a book
It
like
will
the Gita.
certainly tell you, the Gita will certainly tell you how to improve your quality of life.
Yeah, but I don't
Gita
think the
is a
opposition is on that.
picture
I
of
don't think
life.
the opposition is on the quality of what Gita teaches. The opposition is primarily this. This is essentially coming from a religion.
Shivani ji, quick rebuttal.
One second. No, two of my guests have not spoken. Hindol, my fundamental question is this. First of all, I am not one of those people who's going to say yoga is not Hindu or Gita is not Hindu. They are very much Hindu. They come from Hinduism. They cannot be appropriated by cancelling out their roots. But my question to you is this. If children don't learn the Gita in India, where are they going to learn from the Gita? The Gita is India's legacy. We cannot just look at it as a religious text. It is Indian heritage.
Is that question to me, Shivani?
Yeah,
There is
Hindol.
no problem.
Hindol, please.
Shivani,
Hindol, can you hear me? That question was for you.
Well, I have a very simple answer. I just want to, I want people to realize that if you teach the Gita in school, let's look at it from another vantage point, Shivani. What will happen if you teach the Gita in public schools? And this is an important point to make. These are government-funded schools. These are state-funded schools using public money. And if you teach the Gita in these schools, what is going to happen? What is the fear? The fear in some people's mind is, oh, this is the beginning of some transformation and conversion, which is frankly ridiculous nonsense. The Gita ought to be taught as one of the foundational texts of India. India, as a civilization, has certain foundational texts. The Upanishads are one set, the two epics are another, and so is the Bhagavad Gita, which is, of course, part of the Mahabharata. These are part of the cultural, civilizational texts of India. Every Indian must be taught to read these texts. They don't have to become Hindu to understand these texts. They should be taught to understand these texts and understand what's in these texts, so that they have a deeper understanding of the country in where they live in, the civilization to which they belong, and the culture which is theirs. That culture does not mean, appreciating this cultural heritage does not mean everybody has to become Hindu. That is a ridiculous and a stupid argument. Only stupid people say these things. But I believe that the Gita ought to be taught, including in government schools and public funded schools, because it is part of the civilizational heritage of India.
You would remember, Hindol, that even the teaching of yoga was objected to at one time. And this is my fundamental question. If all religions that have lived in India continue to oppose teachings of what is from India, what births in India, then there is a problem. Then that clash happens. Literally everyone who lives in India must accept that there is a fundamental civilizational birthing that happened in India. While we are secular, while we accept everybody, there is no harm in appreciating Indian heritage. And once you keep making yourself an opposition to Indian heritage, that's when religious divide takes over. And unfortunately, that is what a lot of Muslim voices continue to do, like Asaduddin Owaisi is doing today.
Well, lots of people have said lots of things in the past, and many of these things were ridiculous rubbish. The yoga, opposition to the yoga is exactly like this. I'm reminded that there was one communist leader in our country who once infamously and very vilely said that yoga is like yogic positions, or positions in yoga were like positions that a dog makes when a dog stretches. Even this you only have to Google to see which communist leader said this. This is rubbish that's gone in our country for too long. I maintain what I've been saying for yoga and indeed for teaching the Gita. This country has a fundamental civilization. That civilization has a fundamental culture. Understanding that culture and civilization does not necessarily change your religion. That is a ridiculous argument. Therefore, every citizen, no matter what their religion is, must seek to understand and should seek to understand what is their
I think there is a fundamental responsibility amongst all religious groups in India to not be seen as an opposition to Indian civilizational heritage all the time. That onus also goes on them. And when you continue to berate yoga or oppose Gita, it just shows you want to live in a secular country, but you don't want to accept the ethos of that country as a civilization, and that is why it continues to be a civilizational battle. But I want to go across to our fourth panelist as well, Dr. Shashi Kumar, because you come from the education field. Mr. Kumar, I believe you feel that the choice of introducing Gita must be given to the particular schools themselves. Am I right? And if so, why? Why do you feel that there could be opposition to Gita lessons?
Absolutely right. Most of the schools across Karnataka, being Hindus, even we do preach Gita in our academics. It is the choice, and what we preach and what we want to deliver from that is a different context. But when it is made by some authority a compulsory thing, there might be repercussion, because end of the day, public schools are not just with Hindus. There are multi people who are studying there. Multi students are studying there. They are from different caste, creeds, everything. So something forcefully implementing somewhere it might go legal aspects. So we are afraid of that. But end of the day, government of Karnataka advising them to introduce Gita is a welcome sign. But you can't insist that upon that. If that is the thing,
can I ask you a supplementary question?
Will come forward and say, let us
I get your point, but can I ask you a supplementary question, Mr. Kumar? Let's say the government says that give your students an option for a moral science lesson in Gita. Do you think that could be a good midway? Students who want to opt for it can opt for it?
That is what I'm saying. Absolutely right. You see that you give a choice because, for example, don't keep in mind, if, for example, there are Urdu schools, there are Marathi schools, there are several schools. If it is a Hindu, it is different. When you talk about Urdu school and insisting compulsorily to do away with that, then they may ask, let us introduce Quran in our academics. Where NCF or NCERT, there are no guidelines in such, or there are no recommendation. When there is no curriculum of NCERT or no recommendation of NCF, why are you insisting with compulsory? That is our question.
Okay, all right. I have to leave it at that. I think this could be a dangerous line for the government. Is this just to appease one section, or are they truly committed to it? We will know in some time. Yes, Mr. Prasad, I can give you 20 seconds. Is your government committed to this, or is this just for elections coming up?
No. See, it is to bring in the moral education among the students. As the historian has categorically said that if not the students of our schools does not learn about the Indian tradition, Indian heritage, where will they learn? If not in India, will they go and learn in some other country?
Okay, I leave it at that. I've run out of time, sir. Let's see if the government actually goes through this and what is the opposition that happens. There could be legal hurdles in this case, but maybe a midway has to be found, because then logical questions will arise. Why not moral science from the Quran, for example, or even the Bible? I have to leave it at that. I'm run out of time. I do thank our guests for joining us. We'll take this debate forward when we can. Time for a very short break. On the other side, the day's top stories.